Hello, and welcome to another installment of the Drupal Social API. Take it away.
Woo. So, Valentin, how was your week? I know that you had some development time this week.
Yes, I was working on the social post Twitter to implement the social post functionality for Twitter. Uh, I was very challenging, but I managed to still have something to show, but it's not so thoroughly developed yet. But I have been working on it.
Does that mean that you can demo something?
Not exactly. I just have the network definition, the plugin,
Mm-hmm.
and I have created an entity for the Twitter users, but haven't developed the authentication yet.
Okay. Okay. So you had issues creating a parameter bag for the session. Um, did you
Yes.
get around that? Uh, is the issue resolved? Can you uh, work around it?
Uh, I didn't work on it after talking to you because it was not a priority. It was more
Mhm.
about having a better structure, but I just gonna make it to war first and then try to make it more intuitive.
Okay. One of the things that I thought about after that is that for the implementation that I did a while back for Facebook post in Drupal 7, I used the session as well to store the temporary parameters and to store session related data. What I did there, it was I didn't exactly create a new parameter in there, but I used the global scope on the session. So maybe you could do the same. You know how Drupal, when it bootstraps, it creates a bag for the session already. Maybe you
Yeah,
could use that one.
thinking of it now, I don't know why I was looking forward to use the session variable because I just wanted to use the same authentication token for from social out to social in social post. But I'm thinking about now, and it doesn't make sense to do so. Yeah, I will have to think of a better approach.
Good, good. That's great. That's why we discuss things. Another way that you can store this kind of variables is using the state API. Do you know the state API?
That's the one that you can store key values variables.
Yeah.
I actually using now entities to store the users from social networks. I don't know which one is a better approach because you can
Uh,
have many users that grant permission to post in their on their behalf.
okay. Yeah. Uh, it can make sense. Yes. Just making sure that you were aware of the state API because that can be useful sometimes.
Yes, is this the one that you can store key values? I know about it.
Hmm.
I don't remember the name.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Obviously, you cannot store one token because that is global to the Drupal side. You have to store different keys for every user. But since you are using something completely different, it doesn't make sense to move to that. But good to know that you already know that API.
Yes, yes. I knew a different.
So. Um, how do you feel about the progress that you made?
Good, good. I think I can finish some. I can finish the module for next week. But
That would be
uh,
awesome.
yeah,
That
yes,
would be awesome.
yes. And I worked also on the first to post for the social auth implementer, which I told you last week. I think about the series to create a new implementer for social auth.
Oh, okay. Yes, you told me. Tell me about that. I thought that you were putting that on hold for a while, but it's good that you are compaginating both code and documentation.
And I also review the code of the samples, and I really like the way they used the the module to explain how to create or how to create something or implement a new API.
Yeah, yeah.
So
The
I
examples
think
module is great.
we can create a repository for that but in terms of social API. What do you think?
That's fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew that if you read a little bit about the examples module, you would like it and you would want to do something similar. That's why I suggested it.
I don't really like reading code in that way. It isn't that I don't like. I'm not used to. So I always try to read first blog posts before going to the code directly.
Ah, I see. Okay,
That's
we
why
have a different
yeah.
we have a different style here, but hey,
But
there is no right answer.
I discovered that I can learn both ways. So it
Good.
was very good. I did actually learn about the code you provided me with the social auto post, and it was by reading the code. But anyways,
Good. Okay, so I understand from what you said, this week was productive. You don't have much to share, but that's not important. There was no goal to share anything. And next week, you're going to be continuing with the same things, the Twitter post and this implementer example. Is that
yeah,
correct?
yes. I keep working on that.
Could I ask a dumb question?
Yes, done. Wait, done.
Be dumb. Okay. The post settings. Say if I've got 10 users on a Drupal website, will they each be able to connect their Twitter accounts, or is it just per site, or is it per user that we'll be able to connect a Twitter account?
Okay, I'll tell you something about that. What I'm thinking of how this module should work is that there are some editors for the sites for the Drupal site.
Yeah.
So if they're gonna create a new node or a new article, it will be shared on Twitter automatically. So they have to give permission to the site in order to auto tweet the article, actually the link to
Yeah.
the article.
Yeah. And is that on a so if I've got 10 editors on a site, can each one of them have their own tweet to their own account, or is it tweeting to a general account?
They can log in all their accounts, but
Perfect.
typically they will have a general account for the company, let's say.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they want to do so, they can.
That's perfect. So that if it's sort of like a community site where individual people are posting under a kind of an umbrella, but they want to show that it's individually, that's good. So that they can actually
But in
put
that
it.
case, I have a question.
Yeah.
I was thinking that only the author of the content can auto tweet to his account. For example, we three are editor of a website,
Yeah.
and you create a new article. It will only be posted on your Twitter account.
I think that if you go back to the initial diagrams that we draw at the beginning of the scholarship or the project, you'll see that there are two kind of users that you post to. There are user accounts and site-wide users. What that means is that you need to be able to make a distinction between I, as not an editor, not anything of the site, just a user, I go and create a node because you know the settings allow that. Sorry for the wind. If as a user I go and create a node or maybe a comment, the social post should allow that Drupal site to post to their parallel Facebook fan page, for instance. So that Facebook fan page is a site-wide account because anyone posting has permission to connect to that fan page. So that's one type. The other type, and that would not require any authentication from my part as a commenter in the site. So I am a user, I go there and I comment, and that comment is posted on the site, on the Drupal site, and also on the Facebook fan page. So that's one scenario. Another scenario is I go in as a user and I comment, and then it goes to Facebook and says, hey, do you want to give permissions in Facebook to post as you in Facebook? And if you say yes, then you should be able to post into my timeline when I comment on the Drupal site. So these are kind of two types of accounts that you post to. They are not mutually exclusive, so you should be able to have as many. I say Facebook because that makes more clear separation because it's a page and not a timeline. But that also applies for Twitter or anything. So we could have as many fan pages as we need for site-wide accounts. Some kind of configuration would decide where to post this in only the first two or all of them or none under the correct.
What I'm thinking of is that we can have two times of. It depends. It will depend on the module and on the social network. But in the case of Facebook, you can
Yes.
have, for example, configuration to log in general fan page of accounts. That those are the ones that every time you post a new article, you will be able to check in if you want to post on their behalf. And you're gonna have the user specific authentication, which are, for example, I am the editor and you are also the editor, but I don't want that your post go to my my timeline.
Can we, for example, just give you an example here. I've got about 10 pages, fan pages if you want to call them that, and I have a personal account. But if I'm just, could it be flexible that as a user on a Drupal website that I just be able to say I make a post, make a node post, and I can choose which fan page or whether it's a fan page or whether it's my normal profile page that gets the comment. I guess that's specifically for a Facebook scenario, but it could be for other scenarios where I have multiple Twitter accounts. Will I be able to choose which one gets
That's why I'm thinking. I was trying to say that is in the case of Twitter, you can have like a company account, and you, for example, social initiative, and then all of us have different accounts, which are personal accounts. Therefore, what I think we can do is like giving two kind of login. One that is for general purposes. In that case, we will have the Drupal social initiative account with the right permissions granted, and then all of that will have their own personal account granted. However, if I'm gonna make a new article, I'm gonna post a new article, I will only be able to check in if I want to post to Drupal social initiative or my account, not in yours.
Well, I guess what I'm wondering is the say, let's take Twitter for example. I have 10 Twitter accounts. I would want to be my desire would be able to be posting on this website and choose which of the Twitter accounts gets to repost. Is that possible?
I know where you're getting at, but I think that is a side implementation. This is not a decision that social API or social post should make. Social post should just provide the APIs to make it able to post to one, the user specific accounts, and two, the accounts owned by the site. So the accounts owned by the users are connected to the personal accounts. The accounts owned by the site can be used by people that they don't even have a Twitter account, personal Twitter account.
Right.
So,
Right.
but the posting on node creation, that would be something that the site builder or the site developer should decide. Something that we can defer to project like rules, maybe, like say, hey, we provide reaction in rules, that is, post to this account, right? And that is our abstraction inside of social post. And then the site builder goes and says, okay, I don't want this whenever a node is created. I want this every time a user logs in. So they go to rules, they select, okay, action when a user logs in, reaction, post this in the generic site-wide account, or post this in their account.
Sounds perfect in that it's not being hard baked into the social post. It's going to be, probably there will be other modules that use that and then can do more complex stuff, like give me it, you give me alternatives. Which do you want to post?
I can tell you for experience that that is not going to happen, because that module is rules, and rules give you the flexibility that you will ever need. So I would say that maybe we can take a step back a little bit for this week, Valentin, and see how we can create a rule or a reaction in rules that does this posting. So in order to do that, what I would do is first have the programmatic APIs that you can say, this is the text, this is the selected account, check if the person doing this has access to post, and then post. Having that method or that class would be the first goal. The second goal would be, okay, I'm gonna provide a reaction that calls this method in rules. When we have that, that would be it. I mean, then anyone with enough knowledge of rules can do whatever they want, the crazy integration that they need.
Okay. So what I am storing in the database with the Twitter user entity is the user ID, which is the Drupal user ID. I'm storing the unique identifier. I don't know, the UUID, I think. And I am storing the auth token and the auth token secret of the user in Twitter. So what I have to do is to check if the user ID which is provided, of which is stored in the database, matches the one that want to publish when the rule or an event occurs. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say so. That would cover only the user-owned accounts, not the site-wide owned accounts.
Is there a scenario where we have
okay, can I
sorry, carry on.
Can I show what I'm thinking now? Okay, let me open my social post here. Let me see. Oh, what? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your desktop now.
Oh, it's my computer doesn't want to work today. Come on, guys. Oh. If you have something else to talk about, just go ahead while I try to make this.
Okay, well, I'll just say one thing, and then you can tell me if it's just not viable. Is that does that mean you can only have one Twitter account per user? But it sounds like not. You could have multiple.
You can have multiple.
Perfect. Then that's perfect. Perfect.
What Matteo is talking about is having a site-wide account.
Yeah. Is there any reason?
Actually, sorry.
It's go for it.
Just like a user can have as many accounts as they want for any social network, the site-wide can own as many social accounts as they want for any social network.
Right.
And obviously they can have multiple social networks.
Great.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yes.
And just to finish that point, then we could have multiple permissions on maybe you have maybe all of the social networks available to the owners or the higher privileged admins, and then you can restrict the specific groups can have ownership or access to certain social networks. That's going to be possible, isn't it? We're using this model.
What we can do is we can add a permission which says this user can share content to the site-wide account. Then in the settings or somewhere we can have like a login button for Twitter, which will be the authentication for the site-wide account. However, if I want to register personal accounts and grant permission, every user has to authenticate and grant the permissions, and they will appear just here in the entity, in the Twitter user entity. Is that approach okay, or does it have
I would say that we need to take into account the possibility that that you need to authenticate a user when the action is happening, meaning that I'm trying to, I don't know, check out the shopping cart, okay, and the Drupal site asks, do you want to share the items that you bought in Twitter? And if you say yes, or let's say in Facebook, in your Facebook timeline, and if you say yes, if you haven't granted permissions before, it should take you to the grant permissions first and then come back and
Yeah,
then
nice
do the
one.
share.
Yeah, but
So
either when in that case you will have that the user is logged in the site, so he's he's registered as a Twitter user entity, and his account will have granted permission before, so it will be the same approach that having editors. It's just like
what
I
what I
buy.
would say what I would say is that from a technical point of view, there is no reason to store that information longer than a session.
But can it be if we want it to? Are you saying we just need the option of either doing it dynamically in real time or have storing it and forevermore they can post? Is that you just want
No,
options?
that is not doable because the
Okay.
tokens expire anyways.
Okay.
But Twitter apps and Facebook apps usually ask you to grant permission, and they use your account as long as the token longs.
Yeah,
So,
that is true. What
and
I
if
would
you don't
say
want,
is that from a technical perspective, I
so we
wouldn't
can.
quite.
The other thing that I can think of is like we can create that a cron, a cron that can delete the auth token from users that have this kind of role, and that will make it that you will can maintain your Twitter users that you want to have stored in the database.
So in any case, I think that we should not require a database inclusion, right? Because sometimes you will want to have users to post to their timelines without them being registered on the site, right? Like if I'm an anonymous user and I'm just going and reading this piece of news and I want to post it in my timeline, right? We could do that without having them to register in.
But yes, but in that case, you don't need to authenticate the users. You just
No.
have to you just have to click a button, and it will prompt a window in which you have to to post or to tweet
Oh no,
by
that's
yourself.
not what I mean though. What I mean is, imagine that you do an action, right? Maybe what the action that you do is you click a button on the site saying this comment is offensive, right? That is something that you could implement in Drupal. What I mean is that by clicking that this comment is offensive, that gets posted in your Twitter without any other interaction, right? Like I click that button, and in my Twitter it appears. I just moderated a comment in this site, like the Stack Overflow, for instance. You could
But if
do
you
that.
want to do that on the behalf or the user's behalf, you have to store an access token.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
But
you don't need to. You can store the access token in their session, right?
but but the user
Instead,
will have to grant the permission every time he logs in the site, right?
well, yeah, the user will need to grant the permission every time that they use a new session. in the site. That is true.
Can we go a middle way where that scenario is possible, where you have anonymous users that can use that facility to post, and then also we have the ability to register the social network and store it within my profile so that it's always available to me as long as the token lasts. Is that doable to have both methods?
I don't get your question.
I think that what Daniel is asking is, can we leverage social auth so in a way where when the user is registering with that social network, we also store a token, and if these kind of actions where we need an automatic post ever happen, we first check if there is this record in their social auth profile, and then use it if it's there, so we don't have to bother them anymore. And if not, we trigger this other workflow that could also work for anonymous users based on the session.
Perfect.
My issue with that approach is that, for example, in Facebook and Twitter also, you have to grant a different permission, which is very special one, that is to post on your behalf, which is kind of sensitive. Why are you going to give permission to post on your behalf for a site in which you just want to log in?
Maybe you get some value out of it. That is not for us to decide, I think. So
But
if you're building a site that asks for that permission and then uses it to do stupid things, then users won't grant that permission. If you ask for that permission to do interesting things, like, I don't know, you're very into feminism and you want to share a lot of stuff about that topic, right? Maybe people are passionate about that and they will allow the permission. That's
yeah, but that what I'm selling is that, for example, I have my blog, and I want people to log in using a Facebook account. When they will log in, they have to give me 3 permissions: the email address, profile, and the ability to post on their behalf. And for example, when I see an app that asks for that permission, and I think, why did they want that? I always just don't grant permission.
I see what you mean. I think that this is a kind of a slightly different topic. This is the permission handling in the social network. What you can do nowadays is you can ask for the permissions that you need at that moment. So if you're logging in, you just need to ask for the permissions to log in. And if you ever need to post, you can have the correct URL that says, okay, I want this permission. If it's not checked now that I'm posting, not before when I was logging in, I need this permission. Now that that I need to post, then go to Facebook, Twitter, whatever, ask for that specific extra permission, and then come back if it's not there. If it's already there, then that's it.
Yeah,
But as you can see, there are like a lot of different caveats and different configurations that we ideally want to support. I guess that what you need to figure out is what is the scope of things, of everything that we talked about, and feel free to go back to this video and review all the ideas that we gave. Of all these, what you want to support in a first iteration, in this first iteration that you're doing. Whatever is out, I would recommend and ask that you write feature requests for yourself in the future or for someone else to contribute, right? Something like, hey, this is where we want to get. This is where I am going to do now, right? And whatever is in between, me or anyone can do it, because there are issues describing what are steps, what is the approach that you want to to make it happen, etc.
I would just like to echo that philosophy. It sounds awesome. It's very good, and we don't have to do it all now. It's very good. I just everything you just said, perfect.
Yeah. Otherwise, it will be because I understand that what we talked about today is like a lot, and it would be very difficult for you to get to everything. So that way, you get to decide what you work on, and then just defer to future you or future whoever, and that should be it.
Okay. I will go on the authentication, and after that we can decide what kind of approach we can have for the storage and the auto tweet and all the kind of thing. I will look at rules and reaction, I guess. I haven't heard about reaction before.
So what you can do, I know that is for Drupal 7, but if you check Facebook Auto Post for Drupal 7, it does all this stuff only for Facebook, which is, I realize that is a lot simpler. But in Facebook, you can post to an ID, like a page or an account, or
For
you can post against me, the me endpoint. That means the account of the user using the page. And I'm doing some stuff in the session as well. So maybe that code will be useful for you as well. But anyways, don't get too much into all of the use cases, and just do the basic. Have the method to do whatever you decide that you need to do, and then have the rule to integrate with that.
Okay, I'll do so.
And with that, I need to go. Sorry.
Okay. See you next Wednesday. I'm going to really try and get more people. I failed. I've been pushing it out, but we'll see what we can do just to get a few more people tagged on the end so that they can ask comments and questions. Because they are buzzing around, but obviously they're just finding the timing wrong or something like that. I'll find out. Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Okay. Take care. Ciao, ciao. Okay. I guess. Should we leave it there? And if you think I can do better at getting to other developers, then let me know, Valentin, because I'm kind of just inviting people, but some people show interest, but they just don't. If you know of places that I could hit where developers are going to be gathering, then let me know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. If it. Other than that, I'm just kind of getting it out there.
So we're leaving now?
Where am I now?
No, I will closing the...
Yes, we're going to close now.
So
okay.
See you next week then.